Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help, just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas.
The joy of living is in the giving. So let's give lots of toys for tots.
Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Americans, all you liberty lovers and ecclesiastites all across the globe. It is I, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live from the Bunker Eye studio this morning, located somewhere within the great grand estate of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust. Not at all. I did check again this morning, and it's not. Here it is, Tuesday, January number 10 in the year of our Lord 2017. That means it's the 10th day of the year 2017. 2017. Yes, indeed. Call-in number is 603-835-3226. It's a wonderful call-in number. You can use that anytime you want during the 3 hours of this program. Yes, 3 hours of broadcast excellence coming up. I got to tell you, yesterday I had to do my civic duty. And I was sitting in the courtroom being prepared to be selected to be a juror. And on my way, well, into first of all, our court system it's unique. Well, I don't know if it's unique on how it operates and selects its jurors, because I've never served in a jury when I lived in New York. So I don't have experience of being selected anyplace else other than New Hampshire as far as being a jurist. And here in this state, evidently, you can be called to jury duty once every 3 years. And that term that you get called is a 6-week term. It's quite interesting because trials can go anywhere from, they tell you right up front, you can expect a trial. You might get on a trial that may last only 1 day. You may get a trial that lasts 3 weeks. Now, the last time I was selected, I guess it was about 4 years ago, now that I think about it, I was selected for 2 cases. No, 3. There was a 1-day case, and that was just ridiculous. I don't even know why they even... Before they even got to closing arguments, they settled, so we didn't have to adjudicate it in the jury room and try to decide this person's fate. They'd settled, so we didn't have to worry about it. Now, the other 2 cases that I actually had, now I don't know how I got chosen for 3. I almost had 4, but the last case that I did get chosen to sit on the jury, they pick 20 jurors, and there's 12 jurors plus 2 alternates are actually what's seated. So that means that the 2 attorneys, the prosecution and defense, get to dismiss 6 jurors or without any cause. Just, yep, don't want you. Don't like the way you look, I guess. Well, the last case I was dismissed before, and I was like, yes, I'm done. Because that was the last case I would have had to do, but I was done, so I didn't have to do any more. But 2 of the cases that we did go to full term, I guess, closing arguments, and the case was handed to us. One was a 5-day trial, and the other was a 3-day trial. And the 5-day trial had to do with a former Concord City police officer, and I didn't even know anything about the case. I guess it was all over the news when it first happened, and I didn't know anything about it. And I didn't realize that it was a famous case that was being watched nationwide until after the trial was over, and then it was in the news everywhere. We found the cop the former police officer not guilty of what he was charged. It was aggravated assault and sexual this and that. It was a couple of different major charges. He could have gone to jail. But here's the thing. When we found this police officer not guilty, it's not because we didn't believe that he could have or did do the things that he was charged of. The problem was we adjudicated for half a day, really, before we came to a decision, and we all came to the same conclusion pretty quickly, is that the prosecution failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this guy, this former officer, was guilty. Now, when we rendered our verdict not guilty, the defense was obviously very pleased because that was the end of it. For him, he wasn't going to be, because this was like a retrial or something like that, I guess. I don't know what happened in the first trial, but we weren't privy to all that information. But after the trial was over and we given our verdict, the judge came to the jury chamber and filled us in on some details that we weren't privy to during the trial. And the first thing that he said, he said, congratulations, I believe you gave the proper and just verdict. And he said the same thing. He says, I don't know what the prosecution was doing or thinking, but they really botched it, didn't they? And we all said, yeah, they did. The prosecution really botched it. We felt we had no choice but to say not guilty because they didn't really prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And there was reasonable doubt all over the place. And the judge said, well, just to alleviate, I know some of you are probably thinking that this guy is now going to go back onto police force. He said, but due to some other cases that came up before this one, I want you to know that he can never be a police officer again. We were all relieved by that, believe it or not. But again, you can't go by what you think or feel. You have to go by the evidence that is presented. I mean, sure, you can get some sort of feeling whether you believe the witnesses or not. But in the end, you have to go by not only that testimony, but by the preponderance of the evidence. And the evidence as presented by the prosecution, the state, was poor at best. It probably would have been better if they had two different attorneys, prosecutors, doing the trial, but they were terrible. Half the time they got lost during their own questioning. They just did a terrible job. Now, I don't know if it was on purpose or because they really didn't want to, because maybe they knew how this case was being watched back then by national media. But I don't know if that was the case or not, but they did a terrible job. And so we had no choice but to adjudicate. Or give the verdict that we gave, deliver the verdict of not guilty. Is that he didn't even take the stand? Did he? No, he didn't take the stand. He didn't have to. Now I bring it up partly to, not because I'm really in the midst of a 6-week jury duty. In 2 weeks I have to go back to the court and see if I get chosen for trials during another 2-week period, and then I have to go back February 6th in order to do the same thing, and then I'm done for 3 years, and hopefully done for a lot longer than that. I don't want to come back another 3 or 4. Have to go back another 3 or 4 years from now. They need to spread the burden out a little bit. I know people who are in their 30s and 40s who are born and raised in this state, who voted in every election that they possibly could have voted in, and they have driver's licenses because they get the jury pool from voter registrations and driver's licenses. But they're in their 30s and 40s. They were born here, raised here, never left here, never lived in any other state, and they've never been called for jury duty. And in the past 10 years, I've been called 3 times. I wasn't born or raised here. This is my adopted home. I guess they take that to heart when they say I adopt this state as my home. But it it is what it is, folks. But there are times when you're sitting there as a defendant. I'm sure when you're looking at all your fellow citizens who they're trying to seat on a jury that are going to judge you. And it's amazing that our system of justice, how it works. It's a beautiful thing. You get to see the 12 or 14 citizens, fellow citizens, that are going to sit in judgment over you. In your life, in many cases, that's literal. In some cases, that's very literal. Your life is in their hands. And it's amazing to me how you have some defendants that come in that are very down. The worry is on their face. You can see it, the strain, the stress. Some of them may look sorrowful for what they're accused of. I don't know if they really are or aren't, but they look that way. And then you have some that just come in that are just so stupid because they're so arrogant. They know that no matter what, they're going to be found not guilty. And sometimes there was a case, they sat juries for 2 cases yesterday, and the first case, young man, probably in his 20s, was accused of receiving stolen property. Now, he was very millennial clean cut, not long hair, but short hair. That stupid scruffy beard that these kids wear today. But it was somewhat trimmed. And he was in a suit with a power tie, red tie. And he was completely, fully, posturally upright. His chin up in the air. He was an arrogant little SOB. That's all I could tell you. And just by his posturing, I'm like, he better hope I don't get on the jury, because I'm going to scrutinize everything about him. And it's important that you understand and you watch people's posture, not just in jury trials, but in everyday life, especially with your politicians. I mean, these are people that are so arrogant. They walk around. This is where we get this whole notion of people looking down their nose at you, is because they jut the chin up and upward and outward slightly. Just think of Obama. So that when they're looking at people, it has the effect that they're looking literally down the slope of their nose at you, and that's where we get that saying. It's not a good saying. It denotes somebody who's arrogant. It denotes somebody who really doesn't care about you. They think they're better than you. They think they know more. And this is a way, if we look at Obama's posture over the past 8 years, this is how he always approached the American people. This is how he looked. All the time. This is how he looked when he was with other leaders. If you saw the last major picture of him getting that stupid self-appointed medal, anybody notice how his chin was jutted way up and out? That is a sign of true narcissism and arrogance beyond belief. And we get these people now, the Golden Globes, that want to somehow chastise Donald Trump. Now, let's do a comparison. Donald Trump, sure, he came from a rich family, silver spoon in his mouth, but his daddy wasn't worth billions of dollars. Donald Trump is a self-made billionaire, and he built his real estate empire from scratch. He didn't inherit it. He built it worldwide over a few decades. There's a guy that has achieved something in life and is a success. And then, of course, you have Obama that hasn't achieved anything, didn't achieve anything to become president, not privately in the private sector and not politically. His greatest claim to fame before becoming president was that he spent less than 2 years being a U.S. Senator from the state of Illinois. Really? And you have these Golden Globe people that want to get on stage after winning an award, or whatever the award is, and they want to trash talk Donald Trump. These people, I'm not done yet, folks.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
You know, there's some kind of music that just makes you want to, shake your head type of thing, nod your head, bounce your head type of thing. That's one of those. You just sort of like bounce your head with it. One of the things over the weekend that I finally saw it. Don't worry, I'll get back to the Golden Globes. I got some stuff there, folks. I'm not done with Meryl Streep yet. Trust me. But over the weekend, I finally saw it. Secret Life of Pets. It was hilarious. There were moments in the movie I was laughing so hard I was getting a side stitch, and you're having a hard time breathing. Sometimes I'm easily entertained. And when it comes to cartoons, I am very easily entertained. And if it's a good cartoon, I'm in heaven. And it was an animated movie, obviously, if you don't know what it is. But it was hilarious. Very well done. It just goes to show why I don't like little ankle biter dogs. But I'm not even. If you haven't seen it, I'm gonna it's a great family movie. It is totally safe for your 4-year-old or your 40-year-old. It doesn't, child doesn't matter. But it was hilarious. It was cute. It was adorable. It loved it. It just, I guess I needed to laugh because it was wonderful. But what I find, and last night on Netflix, I caught one of my favorite comedians, Fluffy, Gabriel Iglesias. The man is just funny. I'm saying he's just funny. And he has a show that I find is very different from most other comedians. Sure, it's rehearsed, but the man goes off in tangents based on the crowd, and the crowd will say stuff, and he'll like stop and actually listen and have a short conversation with people off the stage. You don't find that with many comedians. He's very personable. Now, he's a guy like that. Well, he obviously says that he doesn't drink a lot of beer. He drinks tequila. And I don't drink anybody's tequila. But he's probably hilarious to hang out with. He just genuinely seems like a nice guy as well. And he's very humble about his success. He very well appears to be very humble about his success. And that's a good thing, because without those people sitting out in that audience paying those ticket prices and going to your movies and watching your television shows, you're nothing. It doesn't matter how talented you think you are or how talented you actually are. Without your so-called fans, you're nothing. It doesn't matter what part of the entertainment information industry that you're in. Even this program, look, I fully understand. Without people listening, I'm just talking in the wind. That's the whole point. I don't get to be quote unquote a success without having fans, listeners. You people out there are listening now. You're the reason why any of those people out there who are on the radio, I don't care if they're liberal or moderate or conservative, you're the only reason why they're on the air. Because if you don't listen, then they get what? Canceled. But and this is a guy that I see that is truly humbled by people who find him to be very funny and entertaining. And that he is. He's very entertaining. I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised that he's not bigger than he is. I know it's very difficult for comedians to become superstars. I think Kevin Hart's is a rare commodity when it comes to comedians. We've had a few over the years. Steve Martin has had a long career, but he started as a stand-up comic. Everybody used to think that he was the unknown comic, and if you're old enough to know who the unknown comic is, then I'm sorry for dating you, but he wasn't. The unknown comic actually revealed himself, and there was some controversy because people thought it wasn't him, that they still thought it was Steve Martin, but it wasn't Steve Martin. Steve Martin has had a long career. There have been a few others that started out as stand-up comedy, stand-up comedians. Roseanne Barr, whether you like her or not, it doesn't really matter. She started out as a stand-up comedian. Comedian. And then made it big with the TV show Roseanne. But those types of comedians are far and few between, because frankly, a lot of comedians really aren't all that consistently funny. The first time I saw Kevin Hart, Richard Pryor is another one. Eddie Murphy is another one. The first time I saw Kevin Hart, I was rolling on the floor laughing, literally. And it was his show that he had titled "I'm a Grown Little Man." I guess Kevin Hart's tiny. He's like 5'4" or something like that. He's really short. But anyway, I'm past the break. We'll be back, and I'm going to hit Glenn Close pretty damn hard, so pay attention, folks.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. we're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Warning. Listening to the Rod Eccles Show by the Idiot Left may cause outrage, fear, a need for safety pins and or spaces. If you experience any of these symptoms or are allergic to truth, tune in and learn something, Snowflake.
Six 603-835-3226 is the calling number. Did anybody, I know this is Tuesday, and I know the Golden Globes happened on Sunday, but I wasn't here yesterday. I was sitting in a courtroom hoping not to be chosen for jury duty this week. And luckily I wasn't. And so I didn't get to comment on it yesterday. And it's a good thing, actually, because I'm sure that yesterday, because it was so new, and so I actually caught a part of her little diatribe, and I'm thinking, you want to talk about epic rant? That would have been another epic rant yesterday. And by the way, for those of you who some people have asked that I share that epic rant from last week when I went nuclear, and that is up on the website now. If you go to the Rod Eccles Show and click on nuclear rant in the sub tab or the sub menu there, you'll see nuclear rant. It is there for you at rodeccles.net. It's shareable. You can send it to whoever you want. You probably should, whoever you send it to, you should probably warn them ahead of time. Because I listen to myself and I'm thinking, wow, I did kind of blow up there, didn't I? I didn't realize how much until I heard it again. And I'm thinking that's maybe I should edit it. I don't know, but it's unedited. It's the whole thing, beginning to end. So you can listen to that again if you want, or pass it around. I try to, people, my quote unquote fans. I wouldn't say listeners are fans. You guys are patriot listeners. That's it. You're ecclesiastites. And so for the ecclesiastites, it's there for you. But when it came to Glenn, now I respect her as an actress. She was once called America's greatest actress. Living, and she's done a wide range of stuff. Most of her stuff has been, very, how do they put it? Well, I just say it's boring. What was one of the big movies that she did? Is Out of Africa? Is that a 3-hour bore fest? As far as I don't watch. I don't remember the last time I actually watched an Oscar-winning movie. What was another one? The Piano or something? I don't. if I want reality, I'll watch the news. I go to the movies to be entertained. I don't go to be if I want to be moved by something, I'm not going to watch a dramatic movie about it. I'm just going to watch a documentary. And movies are not, to me, they're not art. All this notion that, it's good art. And I'm sick and tired of calling these people artists. They're not artists. Actors are not artists. Well, Rod, it is an art form. I mean, you have to learn how to do it, and you got to learn how to do any job good. You just most people, 99.9% of the population, are not natural at whatever job that they're doing. You got to learn how to do it, and you got to practice it, and you got to keep doing it over and over in order to get better. It's no different. I mean, some people will say, well, geez, you're a natural at this. Well, I don't think you'd say that if you listen to the first few episodes of this program back in 2009. I've heard them, and I was awful. Well, some people said I was good, but I think I listen to them now and think I was awful. Compared to where I am now, I'm 200 times better. Because I'm on the air almost every single weekday for 2 or 3 hours since 2009. So, yeah, I'm going to get... And I learned about how to do this. I learned this craft, and I'm always striving to be better. But I am in no way an artist. Neither are they. I mean, if that's all it takes to be called an artist, because you have to learn your craft, and it's a craft, and you have to learn how to do. Well, that's just about any job then. I mean, even if you work at freaking McDonald's, you got to learn how to do that job, and if you're there long enough, you're going to get better at it than on the day that you leave, or than the day that you started. I don't know anybody who's a natural burger flipper. But these people think that they're just all that. They're self-aggrandizing, patting themselves on the back with all of these award shows that they vote each other. And half the time in most of these award shows, their publicists and their managers and their studios, and even in some cases themselves, they do what politicians do. They campaign to win. I mean, when I learned, years ago about the Oscars, about them campaigning to win an Oscar, to get nominated and then to win it. It has nothing to do with about what movie was best or who actually did the best acting job that year, does it? No, it's about who campaigned the best. Well, if you're actually that good, why the hell would you need to campaign? You shouldn't need to. And all these lifetime achievement awards for acting and singing, what the hell did they achieve? You entertained us for 20, 30, or 40 years. That's it. Well, I know, maybe that's a achievement in itself, because most of these people that go into these types of artistic entertainment endeavors don't last for more than 10 years. I mean, how many times have we've heard that, this guy is going to be a great actor? Shia LaBeouf, anybody? Where the hell is he now? When was the last time you saw a Shia LaBeouf movie, TV program, anything? And when the kids too. What's the one? I See Dead People. What's that kid? Haley Joel Osment. Where the hell is he? Last time I saw him, he did a bit part in some TV show, and he was a little fat guy. He wasn't the cute little blonde-headed kid anymore. Speaking of blonde-headed kid, how about Macaulay Culkin? So I guess if you last more, I guess it is an achievement if you can last more than a decade. So Meryl Streep being around since what, the late 70s? The first thing I remember seeing Meryl Streep in was Kramer versus Kramer, and she wasn't in it that much. She was missing from probably a good 60 or 70% of the movie. But most of these people, they don't even write their own lines. I mean, that's okay. That's one thing about comedians, stand-up comics, is most of them usually write the vast majority of their material. They write their own stuff, their own funny lines. Johnny Carson had a bank of writers. So did Jay Leno. He didn't write a lot of his own material. I know that surprises a lot of people, but he didn't. But a lot of these stand-up comics, they usually write their own material. Even when they get very successful, they usually write their own material. Well, I mean, these people are not special at all, but the only reason they're special is because they say they're special. So because they think they're so damn special, they get up there in these award shows, especially of late, and they try to get all political. Well, Miss Gummer, and I'm saying she's Miss Gummer because I do believe that is her husband's last name, and her children's last name is Gummer, and she's still married to the same guy, so she's not Miss, she's Mrs. Mrs. Gummer, a.k.a., Streep, Miss Streep. You made a fool of yourself. You showed the entire world, anybody who has a correct historical perspective knows at least a little bit of recent history, knows that your diatribe was full of hypocrisy. And I got to tell you, you can... the part that I watched, I realized this was something that she wrote, studied, and rehearsed. This was, not off the cuff at all. So if it was already pre-written and rehearsed, you think she would have done some what? Some studying of her facts before she presented them? Because if she had, she wouldn't have said 90% of what she said. The problem is, you see, you have these Hollywood elitists out there. They all go to the same parties. They all attend the same, rap parties and premieres and all that kind of stuff. They hang out together all the time. They do not get outside of their own little bubble. So when somebody actually pops their bubble, they get surprised like you would not believe. Jamie Foxx, I guess. I have something here. What is it? Jamie Foxx? I had it here. I probably didn't even... Jamie Foxx got into a little kerfuffle at a restaurant that is frequented by stars, I guess. I don't know. Some man thought Jamie Foxx and his pals and whatever in the restaurant were being too loud, and he confronted them. Next thing you know, it was getting a little rough and down and dirty. Now, I'm not saying that people, that just because you're an actor or famous actor or trying to be a famous actor, that you should be bothered and attacked like that. Absolutely not. You should be able to defend yourself. And evidently, Jamie Foxx, good for him, he could defend himself and did so quite well. But you know what? They get totally surprised when people confront them like that. It's do you know who I am? Personally, I don't give a flying squirrel who the hell you think you are. You've made some movies that entertained me for an hour and a half or 2 hours. Ooh. That doesn't put you on a pedestal. I can't stand these people who think just because they make millions of dollars because they're able to convince a bunch of people, in this country and around the world to pay the outrageous ticket prices that we often pay when we go to the movies or we go to music concerts or comedy concerts. They can convince us to pay this ridiculous amount of money so they can end up making millions. So then they can tell us, oh, how hard they work. And then they can tell us, well, it's not easy being a celebrity. You don't get any privacy. Oh, whine, cry me a river. You knew exactly what you were doing before you wanted that type of notice. You wanted paparazzi to be able to follow you all over the place, because then it says that you're somebody. If paparazzi is stalking you constantly. These people, I tell you, they just drive me insane. And when they get on stage and they start speaking politics, liberal politics like this, when was the last time you heard on an awards show stage, when was the last time you heard a moderate or conservative actor or musician spout off? Yeah, exactly. You don't.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
There were a number of things that Meryl Streep said that really. Yeah, I know the social media world lit up because of what she said. And now I happen to monitor social media as best I can. Now social media is very vast and very big, and as good as I am at monitoring it, I still miss a hell of a lot. But I got to tell you, there wasn't a lot of positivity it's a leftist new word, positivity. There wasn't a lot of positivity behind what she was saying. Now, you would think there would be leftists out there that would be defending her left and right. The problem is I think even lefties know that what she said was kind of like, that probably was not the right thing to say, Merle. I mean, who's being incited to violence? She talked about Trump inciting people to violence. Well, who are the ones committing the violence? The overwhelming vast majority of people are committing the violence are those who are anti-Trump. Now, did you see a lot of violence from anti-Obama people? No, you didn't. Do you see a lot of violence from anti-Trump people? Yeah, almost every day. And it's even so bad as some of these people out there try to fake and make it look like it's coming from the right, and then we find out when they get caught that they're actually from the left, faking like they're from the right. I mean, this is absolutely ludicrous. So the left goes on a rampage, and the right gets blamed for their rampage. And they're blaming us, well, geez, if you weren't so conservative, then we wouldn't get so upset with you. Well, wait. If you weren't so liberal, we wouldn't get so upset with you either. Well, yeah. So you run around and commit violence? No, we don't. Compared to what is happening and been happening over the past 6 months in this country, you would notice over the past 8 years there was a significant absence of right-wing violence on anti-Obama issues. It's ludicrous to blame those on the right because you on the left can't control your behavior. And they actually get on it's not that they say it in some news story, and it's not just some so-called journalist or reporter that tries, in an opinion piece that talks about this. You have somebody who's well-known, famous, if you will, gets on a national, international stage during international prime time when millions and millions of people are watching and spouts off about a bunch of liberal stuff, blaming the right for the left going apeshit. And they talk about all this, inciting race riots. And who are the ones that are committing all this rioting? Is it the right? No. It's the left. Every time these people talk about, we're going to protest. And it's getting to the point now when I hear that leftists want to protest, I want to tell every business and homeowner in the area they better board up, close shop, board your windows, and sit by your doors with your shotgun because they're going to come and try to destroy your property because that's what they've done almost every single time they've had a major quote unquote protest. Somehow to the left protest means burning and tearing down stuff. And Meryl Streep's out there blaming us for that.
If you love to smoke, then you know there's no place left in America where you can light up a butt these days. That's why Carnival is proud to offer our new Smokers Cruise. You'll board our luxury liner and be off to, who cares where you go. The point is, you'll be in international waters where you can smoke 24 hours a day for a full 2 weeks.
They let us smoke on the dance floor, at all our meals, even in the pool.
I like all the activities. Smoke-alongs, cigar races. Hey, I met a babe who smokes unfiltered Luckies. What?
The Smokers Cruise. Sign up now for regular or menthol. Hey, it's not just a vacation. It's the lung buster.
It's my friend. Could see me now.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Welcome back. It is I, your lovable host, L. Rod, coming to you live from the Bunkerized studio somewhere within the great grand state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. Here it is on Tuesday, January number 10 in the year of our Lord 2017. Call-in number is 603-835-3226. You know, there's a lot of this stuff. Remember when, these actors and musicians are just, they really get my goat when they start thinking that they're bigger than they actually are. Now, I know that people, the reason why some of these people are held to such high esteem is because of how they make us feel. They entertain us, and we often translate that feeling into something that is more godlike. When a star passes away, before their time, as we like to say, take for instance, this is some of the big stars that have passed away in the recent past. Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, recently George Michael, Prince. We all felt a sort of sense of loss, to use a liberal term. We did, because we a lot of times, we grew up with their music. To some extent, somehow the music, quote unquote, spoke to us. It moved us. It relaxed us. It made us happy. It made us sad. Made us dance. Made us, if it's heavy metal, made us want to bang our heads on the wall, and so there are things like that we remember fondly from these people, and then when we may not have heard from them for years. Really, when was Michael Jackson was about to launch a comeback tour? We hadn't heard from him in years. We hadn't heard from Prince new stuff in years. George Michael new stuff in years. But yet and still, when they pass away early, or even later on, but especially when they do it early, we have this sense of loss. We just go back to memories. I remember when, I had my first kiss to this, George Michael song, or maybe it was Prince's song in Raspberry Beret or something, It's nothing more than feelings and memories. And often those memories, because they're good or positive in some form or some fashion, we build those memories up, and they're greater and grander than the actual time or event. Because, look, science has proven this about the human memory. We take things that have been that we consider to be significant in our own personal history. And oftentimes the memories, we create the memory to be grander than it actually was. Because it makes us feel good, one way or the even certain sad events. We look back on that as that was a turning point in my life. I was so sad and miserable, and we weren't really as sad and miserable as we currently believe. And they do this stuff by how we go. Well, today it's easier to do because of video. There's lots of home movies and videos of people doing stuff, and when they ask people looking at it before they re-look at their event, they ask them about a certain event, and oftentimes that those events, if it was a major part, what they consider to be a major part of their life, they made that event bigger than it actually was. So we know we do this. I mean, there's necessarily nothing wrong with it, but we know we do this. And we don't just do it with musicians and movie stars. We tend to try to rewrite our own personal history with politicians. But there is something that you have to do. When you take, for instance, Obama, there is something that gets a little bit sociopathic. When you decide in your own mind that regardless of what this guy has done in the past, that somehow all that negative stuff that you attribute other politicians, especially if they're not of your political party or political thought, that they're somehow evil. But this person is somehow godlike. Let's face it, this is how the left views Obama, that he's some sort of god here on earth. Like pharaohs. You remember the pharaoh? Well, nobody remembers them, but your history of pharaohs of Egypt. They thought that they were gods on earth. Well, this is a problem with liberalism, especially. If you're not of their political mindset or party, they automatically think that you are evil, devil spawn. It doesn't matter if your ideas are the same as the ideas that came before you from your liberal god or goddess. Doesn't matter. All you see is evil because you have built up this previous person or this other person, political figure, as to being something bigger than they actually are. And as being something far better than they actually were. Case in point, Meryl Streep is talking about, during her little diatribe, about what all these other liberals talk about when it comes to Donald Trump and women, how he's a womanizer and he doesn't like women, and he's been accused of doing this, sexual harassment here and sexual this and sexual that. And it's terrible, and we shouldn't stand for it. This is what they say. Meryl Streep included. But wait a minute. What did the liberal left, especially Hollywood, say about Roman Polanski? The man that left this country because he was afraid he was going to be caught and tried for rape and pedophilia. He moved to a country specifically that did not have extradition treaties with the United States, so he could not be extradited here. And yet we've had people like Whoopi Goldberg and Meryl Streep, even after these accusations and trials were to come up, were praising Roman Polanski. Now, here is a man who was going to be put on, there was enough evidence to put him on trial. There's nothing like that for Donald Trump. And don't even get me started with Bill Clinton, but let's just say Roman Polanski for right now. Now, Meryl Streep gave Roman Polanski, as well as many of her other fellow actors and actresses, not only spoke highly of this guy, gave him award after award and standing ovations, even to the point where Whoopi Goldberg on The View, I should say The Blind View, even Whoopi Goldberg, well, let's just call it The Blind, even Whoopi Goldberg on The Blind verbally protected, uplifted, and supported Roman Polanski. She said, you know, these things that he supposedly did were so long ago. Who really remembers? It was no big deal. No, he allegedly actually had sex with an underage, well, I guess there was more than one, but in this one particular case, I guess there was enough evidence to put him on trial with underage girls. And he knowingly did it. It wasn't one of those things, well, you know, I met this girl in a bar. She was drinking, you know, a vodka cocktail, so I assumed she was at least 21, and come to find out she was only 16. I didn't know I needed to check her ID. It wasn't one of those instances. It was one of those things that he evidently sought her out. He knew she was not 18. But yet we're supposed to, because he made movies that made us all feel good or feel something, we're supposed to forgive him and forget about his faux pas. And you know, Hollywood is replete with this stuff. Nobody wants to go after anybody in Hollywood. You ever notice that? We have all these former child stars that are coming out left and right. I mean, it's like a waterfall about how they or one of their friends that they know in the industry when they were kids were passed. The two Corys, for God's sakes. You know, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman talks about all the time how he, but especially his buddy, Corey Haim, was basically raped repeatedly by various entities and people within the film industry. Nobody's calling for investigations on that. Nobody's calling to try to bring these people to justice at all. There's nothing happening. And yet, every day it seems like we hear another story from a former child star. Yeah, this happened to me back then, and that, and one of the reasons why a lot of these kids don't stay in the industry when they grow up is because, yeah, they remember what happened to them when they were kids, and they're disgusted by it. And some of them were just, they were adorable when they were kids. Even in their teen years, they were just adorable. And some of them actually had some potential, talent. But many of them are out. They're out of the business. And not because they didn't have talent, because they got messed up. And as adults, when they could make their own decisions, they wanted no part of it. And these are the people that Meryl Streep is protecting and saying are wonderful folks. But you get 6 or 7 women, most of whom have been thoroughly debunked as liars, say Donald Trump, you know, talked about grabbing my hoo-ha, or maybe he when he walked by, he brushed my breastises. And that is enough. Well, you accidentally bump into a woman and you bump into her front side, and all of a sudden that's sexual harassment to the left side. But hey, it's quite a right for that casting couch to be there. I mean, all I can say is that when it comes to Hollywood, and there is no way in hell I would have ever put my kids through that. If I had kids, I would, young kids, I would not put them through that. No way. Especially if your kid was considered to be halfway cute. They're target number one. It's just disgusting how on one hand they'll take something as benign and proven to be false and run with it. But those things that are proven to be true on their side, oh, no. They give those folks awards.
You're listening to the Rod Eccles Show, the coolest, most politically incorrect, conservative black man on the planet.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
(603-835-3226). That is the number to call if you wish to call this program, The Rod Eccles Show. I am, of course, your lovable host, El Rod. I've got to get to the rest of this paper pile. I certainly did not intend to take this much time with the stupid Golden Globe Awards and Meryl Streep and the leftist, liberal, elitist actors and musicians out there in Hollyweird. Evidently, over the weekend, there was a performance artist who was arrested. who did some, not permanent damage, but did a little bit of mischief on the Hollywood sign. He was able to get up there and without anybody noticing, turn it into Hollyweed. I saw it. Where did I see the picture? I saw the picture over the weekend. I cracked up at it. I thought it was kind of funny. But obviously there are people out there in L.A. and La La Land that did not think it was funny at all. So they found him and arrested him. Evidently it was not expensive. The government, of course, will say that it's going to cost thousands of dollars to repair the damage, and basically all it looked like he did was just use some sort of fabric to cover up the letters and so the O's became E's, and somehow he got the Y to become a W, but well, it had to be quick, so it couldn't have been really all that permanent as far as because somebody would have seen him. Or heard him, at least, I would assume. I don't know. I've never been out to Hollywood or to Hollywood Hills or L.A., so I don't know. I know it's kind of an isolated spot, but it's lit up at night. So it's not like somebody wouldn't have been able to see him. But evidently that's what you can't mess with the leftists, That's they're icons. You can't mess with it. They can literally burn your icon down, but you can't even temporarily deface their icons. They will flip out on you. They'll throw the book at you. They will do everything within their power to make sure you pay for what you have done. That it's just the hypocritical stuff. Hey, speaking of hypocritical stuff, we got Donald Trump out there doing all kinds of things before he even actually takes office. And now we've got all these stories. Well, did Donald Trump really save 1,100 jobs at Carrier? And did Ford really decide the real reason Ford decided not to move to Mexico? And it wasn't because of Trump. We got all this crap. Because when they're already starting to do this, it means that Donald Trump is being effective. Whether Trump was directly involved or indirectly involved, and all of it, at least he's indirectly involved because of what he says and his policies that he wants to institute and the people that he's nominated to his cabinet. Business looks at this as well. Business leaders are human. Business leaders are American. Well, most of them are Americans. And they see what's going on. They know the people that he's putting in, nominating for these positions. They understand that it's going to be a far more business-friendly climate here in the USA. So even if Trump doesn't pick up the phone and call every single one of these companies and say, hey, stay here, they get the fact that they understand that he's going to want them to stay here and that he's going to do everything within his power as president through regulation and tax policy and all the other stuff that goes along with it to make this a more business-friendly climate for them. They see that. Now, yeah, I know we have to wait and see to actually see the rubber hit the road, because you can't always believe, all the euphoric stuff, because then reality hits once somebody takes office. And sometimes that reality is, well, it's not often that the reality actually meets the perception or the expectation. That rarely happens for anything or anybody in any position anywhere. Sometimes people exceed their expectations, and that's true. That happens. But usually with the president, that doesn't happen, because the president isn't, he isn't an emperor. He isn't a king. He just can't do any damn thing. Well, unless you're Obama, then you just try to executive order everything in. But he's got to deal with Congress. I know Trump supposedly has, because the parties in charge of both houses of Congress are also Republican. Well, let's face it, they're not full of friendly Republicans over there. John McCain, Lindsey Graham, anybody? Yeah. Well, that's just the way the political ball bounces.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
I'm not Rod Eccles, and I approve this message.
We have government at all levels that do things they say to help protect society and help evidently to protect us from ourselves. This is why we have all these civil laws and regulations out there. I mean, here in my state, for instance, the new governor, Chris Sununu, has just put a 90-day moratorium on any new regulation, and that he has ordered every department in the state to review all their current regulations and to eliminate any of those that might run afoul to the law or the state constitution or that were unnecessary. And they have 90 days to do this. That's a good thing. I know. I think Trump mentioned something like that, or somebody mentioned putting a moratorium on regulation until they can get a chance to review a lot of this stuff. They should do that with laws, basically, too. Every year across this country, we get hundreds of new laws that are put on the books. And I usually look this up every year, but I didn't look it up yet. What all the new laws that came into effect January 1 and those that'll go into effect like June or July 1, those seem to be the 3 days that a lot of new laws take effect. A lot of these things are just stupid. A lot of them really don't do anything to increase public safety, but what they end up doing is costing you and me money via fines and tickets and things like that. I mean, most of these new laws people don't end up going to jail over them, but they usually end up having to pay out of their pocket. And there's something that happened in a Detroit suburb of Roseville. Now, I know Roseville, Michigan, very well. I spent quite a lot of time as a kid out there with some close relatives that live in Roseville. A few cousins that basically you could say during the summer months I grew up with them over there. And I haven't been to Roseville in decades now, but I understand it's nothing like it used to be. It was a wonderful, relatively safe, beautiful suburb, but it is no longer that. Is from what I understand. And I know some people will say, well, it's because all the minorities moved. No. Roseville was already heavily populated by minorities, especially blacks and Latinos. And it was a beautiful community. It's, from what I understand, I haven't seen it with my own eyes in years, but I understand that it is not what it used to be. And that's true of many neighborhoods across this country. And it's not just because of blacks moving in, which some people would like to say, and the left is very adamant at saying, "Oh, all you people think is when black people move in, things go to pot." Well, that's not always the case, but that's neither here nor there. What we have is something, and I know this because I got a ticket a long time ago for something similar. And when the cop pulled me over and told me about it, I originally thought he was joking. Because I thought, nobody makes a law like that. Well, it was a serious enough law that it was a $125 ticket, so he was serious as a heart attack when he handed it to me. And I thought, you must be joking. Well, evidently in Roseville, this guy, they made the news for some reason. I don't know why, but because these kind of laws have been on the books for years now, but for some reason this made the news. And this is from WXYZ out of Detroit. ABC 7. A Roseville, Detroit, Michigan man gets a $128 ticket. Now, what did I get a $125 ticket for here in this state that he got a $128 ticket in his state for doing? Oh, for leaving your car running with the keys in the ignition. Now, granted, it was late at night, probably like 2 or 3 in the morning. It was a winter night, cold, obviously, here in New Hampshire. I pulled into a 7-Eleven to get some coffee. The funny thing is that everybody who pulled into 7-Eleven that night, I was not the only one, left their cars running. I just happened to be the lucky one to pull out of the parking lot first. Yes, indeed. And don't tell me this had nothing to do with minimums or quotas, because I noticed the police officer pulling into the parking lot across the street and waiting. And I didn't think anything of it. And sure enough, I was the first one to pull out of the parking lot, and there he comes with the blue lights. And I'm thinking, well, I know I stopped at the stop sign it's late at night, nobody else was coming, and I didn't pull out in front of anybody. I know I came to a full stop because I know he was across the street. All my lights are working on the vehicle, so I don't know what the hell is, what's the issue? I'm pulling you over, sir, because you left your car running when you went into the store. I said, you must be joking. He said, no, sir, it's called unattended motor vehicle. I said, what? And so, he does this thing, license registration, checks it out, comes back, and hands me a $125 ticket along with my license and registration. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Well, this man got a $128 ticket for doing the same thing. But only he got the ticket while his car was in his driveway. Now, I don't know how a police officer is going to know, because we have these things now, these remote car starters. Now, I don't know how this is cop walking up and down this, pulling up his cruiser and walking up and down the street and going into people's private property, peeking in their cars to see if there's keys in the ignition or not? Or did he somehow see this guy get in his car, get out of his car, and go back into his house? That's not the bad part. The bad part is that the chief of police encourages his officers to hand out these tickets left and right. Because he says it's a public safety issue. Because, and I quote him, every year we have 3 or 4 vehicles that are stolen this way. And it just becomes dangerous for us. The police. It becomes dangerous for them to go track these cars down. So evidently, this is something that is just not here in this state, but it is all over the country, either a statewide law or a city law, municipality law, that you don't have control over your own property on your own property. Okay, maybe I can see, this environmental stuff you might think is the reason for it, but nope, that's not it at all. At least that's not the reason that they're using. In any case, I fought the ticket. And I even looked at the judge in the traffic court and I said, Your Honor, I originally really honestly thought this was a joke. I said, nobody knows that this is a law. And he's the judge. Well, it was a new law that came into effect this year. And this was like February. I got the ticket. It's a new law that came into effect this year. And seeing how this is the first time that this has happened to you, we're going to dismiss the ticket. But Mr. Eccles, consider this your only warning. And of course, I'm smart enough not to say anything. I know what I'm thinking, but I'm careful not to verbalize it, or else then I'd probably be found in contempt of court. But I'm thinking, yeah, you try to give me a ticket like that again, and there's going to be a problem. Because this is the most inane, ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. It's anti-freedom. It violates the Constitution with of you being able to utilize your own property as you see fit. And if these, especially today when you have cars that have low jack or some other tracking device on them, or you can easily find a lot of these cars today, unless it's and a lot of these cars are also very clean. In fact, we've even mentioned on this program before that there are a lot of vehicles out there that are so clean that the air going into the intake of the engine is dirtier than the exhaust coming out. So it isn't because it's contributing to global warming. As a matter of fact, in some cars when you drive them, they actually clean the air, so you're better off driving than walking if you're going to talk about environmentalist wackoism. And most cars burn very little fuel when they're idling. I mean, look at the big diesel trucks, the tractor trailers out there. And those guys, they used to be able to leave those running all night long because they burn so little. It's ridiculous how little fuel they burn in idling. So this has nothing to do with safety. It's a $128 ticket. It's about money. And governments needing more and more of it. And the reason is because this is from the Fiscal Times. For those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Ria Linda, that's Fiscal, Fiscal Times. Chicago, New York, in worse financial shape among large U.S. cities. Detroit, coming out of its bankruptcy proceedings because it was in such financial disarray, is actually is in the top 50 of the worst financial shape of large U.S. cities. Chicago is the worst. New York is number 2. Now, that's kind of interesting considering that New York was left in very good fiscal condition when Rudy Giuliani left office, even after 9/11. It was in very solid, but now, the reason why New York City is running into trouble is because so many people, especially those with the money paying the taxes, are leaving because the taxes are too damn high. So when these municipalities come up with these different new laws, with all these wonderful fines attached, you have to understand it has nothing to do with public safety, but it has everything to do with trying to fatten their coffers. That is not what law is intended to do. It is not intended and should not be intended to raise revenue. But all too often we have a number of these people that get into office and they figure, well, we need more money, but we can't raise taxes, so how else can we do it? Oh, we can raise fees, like, they call them fees or licenses. And we can also make a new law, like here in this state, which is going to ensnare a lot of people. And will put a high price tag on the ticket, on the fine. Recently, a couple of years ago, we had a new law that was instituted about you not being able to use your cell phone while driving. Okay, that's fine. No, got to be hands-free, no texting while driving, fine. But the law is written in such a way that even if you are at a stoplight or a stop sign and you pick up that phone, that cell phone, and even use it to take a picture, that's a $110 fine if you are caught. Now, how is it protecting public safety that you give somebody a fine for taking a picture of an undercover cop standing on a street corner with a sign that says, a cardboard sign that says the end is near, and somebody sees it, thinks it's funny, and takes a picture with their cell phone? But if they were to take a picture with their old-fashioned 35mm camera, they're good to go. You take I think there was somebody here in this state that tried to test that. Well, I'm not using a cell phone, but I have an iPad. Well, your iPad is not a cell phone, and the law is specifically written to prevent you from utilizing your cell phone. But they try to say, well, it's any electronic device. So I guess your single lens reflex camera that isn't a digital camera is not an electronic device. It's a mechanical device. So you can use a mechanical device according to the law, which I'm sure they're probably going to try to, force the issue. Cop's going to give you a ticket and you're going to try to defend yourself against it. But, you can use a camera. That's a mechanical camera, not a digital one, evidently. But, hey, don't take a picture with your cell phone because now you're in trouble. You're running afoul of the law while you're at a stop sign. Yeah. So they can give you that $100, and so they can rape your wallet of another $100+. That's all this stuff is about, folks. Don't doubt me.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
A couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
It's pretty sad that your city or your state needs money so bad that they can't live within their financial means, that they have to try to get by the tax code in order to raise revenue. Now, this has often been touted in Boston, Massachusetts, where, believe it or not, Boston is one of the better physically fit cities, large cities in the country. But one of the reasons they're able to do that is that they raised some, was it last over $70 million in parking fines? $70 million. The simple parking, nothing, not traffic violations, but just parking violations. The kind where your meter expires, or maybe you double park, or if you're like, if you ever go to Boston, especially in the spring and summertime, and when it's not a lot of snow out there, anytime there's not a lot of snow, if you ever look at the FedEx trucks or UPS trucks, they are loaded oftentimes with tickets, and the drivers leave them there until they get back to their hub, and then I guess they just turn them into their department heads that take care of it. But obviously, you don't see mail trucks. Now, this is no joke. This is all about revenue collection. It's not about public safety. It's about revenue collection. I saw firsthand in one particular, I know I experienced it firsthand, but I saw in one particular event, meter maid walking down the street. UPS truck pulls up for delivery, double parks basically. Pulls up behind a United States Postal Service vehicle, who's also double parked just like the UPS van. Meter maid sticks a ticket on the UPS truck. No ticket on the postal truck. Do you think the federal government is going to pay a parking ticket to the city of Boston? They're going to tell Boston to go screw. UPS, on the other hand, will probably pay it. Or they'll fight a bunch of them at the same time, and and still have to pay a whole. They probably spend millions of dollars on parking tickets all across the country every year. It's an added tax. That tax gets passed on to us, the consumer. See, businesses don't pay taxes. They don't pay fines either. They pass that cost on to us. Now, I think it's very telling that if you have a federal vehicle and you pull up behind the federal vehicle, who has to obey the same laws that you do, and they don't get the ticket, but you do. Now, I don't know about you, but if that were to happen to me, I'd take a picture of both. And I'd say, see, look, evidently it was legal because here's this car that they didn't ticket. And here's mine. I mean, you have to ask, is this the United States of America, land of the free, or is it the United States of America, the land of the fined and the taxed? And if you go throughout our cities, no, this kind of stuff doesn't happen in rural counties or municipalities, but you go into the major cities where they need more money, and this is how they get it. They get it by robbing and raping your wallet, and they call it serving the public good and public safety.
July is National Baked Bean Month. Excuse me. Yes, a month in which we pay tribute to one of America's favorite, most healthful, and nutritious foods. I'm terribly sorry. As I was saying, good Lord, this is terribly embarrassing. I'm so... Whoa, doggy! I guess I'd better wrap this up quick. Basically, Jesus, whoa! Oh, God! My God!
Baked beans. They're nature's way of saying, for God's sake, open a window. Sorry.
The following program is recommended for mature individuals and may contain material unsuitable for morons, cretins, and dishwipes. If you are a moron or a member of the PTL Club, please turn off your radio, because we don't need any more stupid, narrow-minded, pencil-neck geeks who wouldn't know the First Amendment if it came up and bit them on the butt. Thank you.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 already. Those wonderful liberal time gods must have been speeding up the time continuum, because we are already in hour number 3 here on the Rod Eccles Show. Of course, I am your ever-lovable host, L. Rod, coming to you live from the bunkerized studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust. And yes, I did check again this morning, and it has not changed. Here it is, Tuesday, January number 10 in the year of our Lord 2017. Call-in number 603-835-3226. Speaking of government protection and government gods and the like, here's a story here that this is why I always... When people tell me that, about computers and any electronic device, I don't like turning my machines over to anybody for repair. If they can't do it with me standing there, then I don't want to leave it with them. And you shouldn't either. And this next story is the reason why. Now let me say this before we get into the story. Some time ago, back in the 80s, there was a photo developing company in Syracuse, New York called Crystal Photo. Now, Crystal Photo, standalone building. Everybody took, back in the day when there was actually film that you had to have developed. Remember those days? Well, Crystal Photo was known for not questioning anything. They developed everything. Didn't matter what it was, they would develop it. Well, there were a couple of times when the government swooped in on Crystal Photo and said that they were purveyors of perpetuating various types of illicit pornography. Most of it child pornography. And so Crystal Photo got fined a couple of times from this. And it got so bad that Crystal Photo went so far as to not only give you the pictures. Let's say you had, little Johnny or Susie is, a year old and you're giving them a bath in the kitchen sink and the photo is of them nude, obviously in the kitchen sink. Well, it got so bad with Crystal Photos that not only would they not give you the picture, they would hold your negative and tell you that the negative is being reported to the authorities as child porn. And a number of people, parents, were totally aghast by this. And they're thinking, wait a minute. I'm the mommy, I'm the daddy. I took the picture of my own little kid. Everybody takes kids of their little babies when they're taking a bath or stuff like that. And you're going to tell me it's kiddie porn? You're going to accuse me of kiddie porn? Well, the word got out that this is what Crystal Photo was doing. And sooner rather than later, people stopped going there. So not only did they stop going there, but that means that meant that Crystal Photo wasn't getting the business that it used to. And soon thereafter, within a few years, Crystal Photo was out of business. It's out of business. Because the customer no longer trusted them. The customer thought, well, geez, any innocuous photo that I take, they're going to think, because they want to protect their own butts again from being heavily fined like they were the past few times when this stuff happened, they're going to just confiscate your negatives, not give you the picture, give you the pictures of the other stuff, but not give you that particular picture, and turn your negatives over to the feds. Now, who wants to go through that and having to explain to an FBI agent or to a sheriff's department deputy or to a city cop, look, this is a picture of my own kid. See, here's the kid, and he's a little baby, and we took the picture because this is what parents do when they have a newborn or something like that. It's an innocuous picture. It's something that we're going to use, 20 years from now to embarrass the hell out of them. This is not kiddie porn. This is not illegal this or illegal that. Nobody wants to go through that. They stopped taking their film to Crystal Photo. Well, here's something that you may want to stop. If you're already utilizing, you may want to stop utilizing them. And if the word gets out, this department in this business or this company may go out of business as well. But unlike Crystal Photo, where these people came in after the fact and levied heavy fines, the FBI is not saying, well, if you see something, say something. They're paying them to see something and then say it. The FBI is apparently paying Geek Squad and members of Geek Squad to dig around in your computers for evidence of any criminal activity. Yes, according to court records, Geek Squad is now looking into your computer. Every time you take it in to be serviced for whatever reason, they're being paid to snoop. In this particular case, Geek Squad technician by the name of Jay Westphal, Westphal, an FBI informant, reported an accidentally located on a computer an image of a fully nude white prepubescent female on her hands and knees on a bed with a brown choke-type collar around her neck. Westphal then notified his boss, Justin Meade, M-E-A-D-E, also an FBI informant, who then alerted colleague Randall Ratliff, R-A-T-L-I-F-F, another FBI informant at Best Buy, as well as the FBI, claiming the image met the definition of child pornography and was tied to a series of illicit pictures known as the Jenny shots. Agent Tracy Riley, R-I-L-E-Y, seized the hard drive of that computer. Now, you might think that that's not necessarily a problem, Rod. Oh, well, no. When it comes to something true like that, yes. But the FBI can't snoop around your computer without a search warrant. But they can pay somebody who's not in law enforcement to do that. They're not bound by any of the constitutional laws. They can snoop. They're not breaking and entering. You gave them the computer. They didn't come into your house and steal it and go snooping. You gave it to them to repair. Now, within the course of their duties of repairing, they can come across a number of different things on your hard drive. See, the sad part about it is a lot of people don't realize this, but did you know that everything your computer does gets recorded? Your browser history, for instance. Now, some people think, well, it's only the places I visit. No, it's not. Go into your browser history. You will find websites that you will see on there in your browser history, and you will think, I've never been there. But you have been there because your cookies have been there. All those pop-up ads that you may or may not get, they end up in your browser history. You have an ad blocker. Most of the time, the ad will be blocked, but it still shows up in your browser history. It could be to anywhere. You don't even see it. Maybe your computer was hijacked, by those computer hijackers, and they're using your computer for doing nefarious things. It ends up on your browser history, even if you do not personally go there. You take your computer in to get it serviced, fixed, what have you, and then this paid informant of the FBI just accidentally, quote unquote, comes across your browser history, and then whoop, there's a flag, and they turn it in. Next thing you know, your computer hard drive is being seized, and you're being investigated for various crimes that you have no clue of what the hell is going on. This is happening all over the country as we speak. Why? Well, because the Geek Squad member that turned in this photo was paid $500 for digging around in customers' computers and reporting his findings to the FBI. Now there's a motivation to go accidentally discovering stuff on your computer. In other words, the FBI has people out there that they're paying to spy on you and me. And they're able to skirt the Constitution by doing so. Do you understand what I'm telling you right now? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, it's the equivalent of brown shirts. But it's far worse. Because at least back in the day, with the real original brown shirts, it was something that they actually saw you doing. Today, you might not even actually personally do. Or maybe, it's something you let somebody else use your computer for a second or two. You don't know where they go, what they do. You say, well, Rod, they're a friend of mine. I've known him for years, but you never know what kind of fetish they have. If they have one. The next thing you know, you're the one that's being investigated, possibly brought up on charges. And what's the first thing that they say? You say, well, I'm innocent. I didn't do that. Is this your computer? Well, yes. Then you must have done it. Your computer can't do it by itself, but the truth is, your computer can do it by itself. Well, no, it can't do it by itself. Somebody has to point the computer to do it, but it doesn't have to be you. That's the point. And before you know it, you take your computer's running slow because you think you got a virus on it, so you take it into Best Buy, into the Geek Squad to get it cleaned up, and next thing you know, you go to pick it up, and there's an FBI agent there or a police officer waiting there for you. Don't doubt me on this stuff, folks. This is happening basically every day as we speak. And now we know that these people, and I'm sure it's not just Best Buy Geek Squad that is getting paid. How many other places that get to see what we do on a daily basis because we bring our stuff to them to get fixed or repaired or something, that then they turn around and turn over our information to some government authority or agency because they're being paid to do so. Definitely is a whole new, brand new world, isn't it?
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Oh, someone in the chat room mentioned, well, evidently that the Geek Squad isn't taking a look at or snooping into the computers of Congress. Well, for the most part, we don't really have to because members of Congress or their staff members are stupid enough to put their passwords out there, so nobody really has to sneak. All they got to do is go to just literally enter their password. So there's no geeking in or breaking in or cracking the code to get in. They just enter the password, which is why I always change all of my passwords monthly, because you never know who's out there snooping around. Look, there were it's not a lot. There were not a lot of these stories, but you take your computer in, or you have your. This is where the worst of it was rare, but this is where one of the worst of these rare events would happen, is when you buy a new computer and you pay somebody else to set it up. Now, it happens at Geek Squad. You can do that. You buy a new computer and they can set it up for you. They charge you for it. But, and there's, private, small mom and pop shop computer companies do the same thing, especially if you get a white box, if you have them build you one. But what happened, in rare cases, what has happened is that they've put stuff on these people's computers that basically was spyware. Yeah. This is why I don't let other people mess with my computers. I don't know enough about computers myself to counteract anything they could possibly do. So if my computer starts to act up, I do my best to try to figure it out and learn how to fix it. I'll even ask questions of people who do know so I can do it myself. I don't have anybody else touching my stuff because you never know when they're going to put something on there. And you think that, I've got anti-spyware and anti-this and anti-that. And they put stuff on there that gets through all of that. I mean, it's bad enough that we've got, external threats that can get through most of our McAfee and Norton antivirus stuff, but I don't need somebody who actually has access to my computer firsthand to actually bypass all that and make it a program and put it on there that I don't even know exists and can't get rid of. Yeah, call me paranoid. I just call it being smart. And I know a lot of people out there, they don't want to be bothered trying to figure that out. I'm telling you, you need to be bothered at least to try to figure out how, at least on a basic level, how all that stuff works. Because a lot of people don't even have the basic knowledge of how this stuff works. I have basic knowledge of it, and I know what kinds of questions to ask to get answers myself. Now, sometimes I can't always find the answer because I don't know exactly what the problem is because I'm not a techie. But I will do my damnedest to try to figure it out on my own because I just don't trust anybody else. And it's sad to say in this day and age, but now you know why. Because there are people that might not be nefarious in their encounter with you, but there's a financial reward if they are a little bit sneaky. They're being paid by the government to sneak on you. I mean, it's just total insanity. And we keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper into this technological quagmire that we haven't fully come to understand on an average person basis. The last thing you want to do is to be so high-tech where only the few know how that high-tech works. That's dangerous, folks. That becomes a danger to the public. When things become so complicated and so entrenched that the vast majority of the regular people don't even care to know anything about it, and they just go about their days and their lives happily ever after without even thinking about it until there's a knock on their door, or worse yet, sometime in after midnight, somebody comes busting through their door. And they don't know who or why is doing it. And half the time, people in the household get shot. Now, I'm not against law enforcement, and I'm not against keeping an eye on potential bad people, but when you have a nation of 300 million people and our government views all 300 million of us as suspects until proven otherwise, that's a problem. You cannot have a government of the people, by the people, for the people if that government is afraid of those people. Our government is telling us that they're afraid of us, the citizens. They're focused more on us than they are of foreign threats. That's what all these spy programs are all about, and all these spy computer farms are all about. You think they're getting all this information from overseas and storing it? No, they're getting your cell phone calls, they're getting your emails, and they're storing it all. Last time I checked, you're probably one of the 300 million American citizens here, so you're not a threat. But all your info is stored, and if one too many red flags pop up from you, they're going to investigate you. And what's even scarier is most of the time you don't even know you're being investigated. Bet you didn't realize that either. Most of the time, you don't even know. You have no clue. You are one of the most far. You would think you were the farthest person from ever being investigated, and then they come knocking on your door.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
Bring the rain.
I know, we got about 10 days to go before Obama gets out of office, but it doesn't mean this guy isn't going to do as much damage as he possibly can in order to punish the rest of us for electing Donald J. Trump instead of his legacy protector, Hillary Clinton. Here's something from AP. U.S. moves to secure election system, but it meets criticism. Now, notice how they word this. A last-minute decision by the Obama administration. Last-minute, none of this is last-minute anything. This was already planned. It wasn't a last-minute decision. Here they are, the lamestream media, trying to run cover for Obama yet again. But a last-minute decision by the Obama administration to designate election systems as critical infrastructure drew some intense criticism from state and federal elections organizations on Monday. U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson announced the move Friday with 30 minutes notice to the National Association of Secretaries of State and U.S. Elections Assistance Commission, which is an independent, bipartisan federal agency that develops voluntary voting guidelines and certifies voting systems. I didn't even know we had such a agency. Bipartisan my ass, by the way. Officials at both agencies are criticizing the department for what they said was a failure to work with state officials to fully answer their questions about the designation before making the change. Even the Secretary of State of the state of Connecticut is questioning and criticizing the move. And basically, the reason for this is that they're saying the Obama administration is saying that there have been attempted hacks on the election systems, which began in August after hackers targeted the voter registration systems of more than 20 states in the months prior to the election. The problem is that we know in a number of those cases, and in one particular state, Georgia, all the attacks came from Homeland Security itself. The hacks are coming from our federal government, and they're using that as an excuse and a reason to try to take over and try to nationalize elections. When the Constitution is pretty damn clear about this, that all the 50 states get to have, they're the purveyors of their electoral system, not the federal government, for a reason. It may be slower, it may be more inefficient, but it's safer. You can't have the federal government controlling the elections because then all they need to do is hack one agency, not 50. And of course, the founders were not concerned about computers and hacking, but they were concerned about equal representation. You cannot have equal representation if it's all controlled by one entity. And this was a last-minute decision, AP? Are you kidding me? These people are still running cover for this guy. Even before, as he's got one foot out the door. This is just absolutely ludicrous. But I'm not done. Not done yet. I know. You're not going to... All the other big talking heads are probably... I bet you there isn't going to be a single talking head that talks about this today. They didn't talk about it yesterday. All those big guys. They're not talking about this. I wonder if they'll bring this one up, too, from the Washington Examiner. The National Urban League issued a report card for Obama's presidency. They gave it an excellent rating. Although the Urban League does cite Obama's failures for Black America in its excellent report card for the president and his presidency, his 8 years in office. This comes in the form of a 16-page report or report card. It reviewed 8 areas of policy impacting urban areas and African Americans and found that Obama's success to failure rate was 42.5% failure. In other words, when I was in school, if you got a 57 or a 58% positive or correct answer or positive rate, you failed. That was an F. 65 was a D. You got less than a 65, you got 64 or less. That was an F. I remember at one time on a test. It was a surprise test. The entire class got surprised, and none of us did well on it. I got less than a 6. I got like a 59 or something on it. The teacher put in a big red letter, F minus. I didn't know you could have an F minus. Now, thankfully, that it was just a pop quiz test, and it didn't count for any of our grades, but we all knew that we were in trouble if we actually had a test. I got an F minus. This guy gets a score less than I got, and he gets the equivalent of an A. Excellent is A. You got to have at least a 90 to get an A, right? Isn't that the way it works? Well, like 95 plus or something is like an A plus, but you got to get a 90 is well, that's an A minus, right? 90, 91 is A minus. Well, you got to get a 90 to get an A. Or excellent. I know some public schools stop using the letter grade and they use, excellent, satisfactory, or poor, or some stupid system like that. But you got to get a 90 to get an A, to get an excellent. And yet this guy gets a 58, and they rate him as excellent. 42% failure rate by their own standards, and they still rate him X. Folks, I don't. And this guy is continuing taking over local stuff. I mean, I don't know. It is so bad, and this is all being done on purpose. This is to overload the Trump administration. The problem is Donald Trump is a workaholic. He's a work hoss, not work horse. He's a work hoss. Man works 20 hours a day, every freaking day. So it's going to be a little bit different than a normal, regular person coming into office, because he's got an agenda to change a whole lot of stuff coming in. And the Obama administration, Obama is just trying to overwhelm this guy. But the problem is that, again, they don't fully understand who Donald Trump is. Do you realize that Trump is, in most of his cabinet nominees, either at cabinet or under secretary or undersecretary positions, 99% of those people don't need that job. They don't need the power that comes along with that job. They're not taking the job because they look at it as a springboard to bigger, better things after they leave that particular office. Most of these people are already highly successful in the careers that they want to have and have all the money that they could possibly need. They're all like, most of them are like Trump. They could take a $1 salary per year salary and it not have them hurt their financial condition or situation at all. They don't need it. So he surrounded himself with a bunch of people that are similar to him. He surrounded himself in many of these cabinet positions with a bunch of equal workaholics. Now, maybe they don't work 20 hours a day, but they sure as hell work more than 12. They're workaholics themselves. An ordinary person or politician that comes into office would be overwhelmed by this Obama crap. The only thing standing in the way of Trump is a bunch of lazy, non-workaholic Congress members. Sure, there's a lot that Trump can do just by using the executive order pen, by rescinding a lot of Obama's executive orders, as well as dumping. They don't need congressional permission to dump a lot of regulation. They can do that too. I believe that these people are going to go to work day one looking at regulations that need to be dumped. I don't think Trump is going to get out of his inauguration day without rescinding some of Obama's executive orders. This is not a regular guy. And they keep making that mistake. They're using their old tactics and they think they can overwhelm them. Again, the only people standing in Trump's way is Congress. Because the American people are ready for him to do almost everything he said that he wanted to do. They're ready for it. They want it. And as much as they try to, look what today the Jeff Sessions thing gets underway, confirmation, and you're going to see Congress, both some Republicans and almost all Democrats, try to line up against this guy. And basically, he was one of them for a long time. See how quickly they eat their own when the guy who wants them there is somebody they despise. I don't really. Well, we got 10 more days, folks. Trust me, this is not the end of these so-called last-minute decisions. It's not. You better gird your loins on this one, and your wallet and everything else that you own or hold dear, including traditions and including the Constitution. This is going to get messier before it starts to get cleaned up. I know we only got 10 days. 10 more days. And then the nightmare, we hope, comes to an end. An 8-year-long nightmare. How many people are going to be going to bed a lot easier on January 19th or January 20? Knowing when they wake up, there's going to be new president, new administration, and a new day. Well, there are a lot of people out there already who are looking ahead to more positive times. Bloomberg is reporting something about American small business. Yes, the U.S. Small Business Optimism Index surges by the most it has since 1980 after Ronald Reagan was elected. Now, I got to tell you, that's some pretty good news right there. You got people who are business people, small business, the real backbone of this country's economy, who are looking up and thinking more positive with a Trump administration, and they haven't been this positive, this optimistic since Ronald Reagan. I don't know. It sounds like the proper kind of optimism that's going to lead to a lot of stuff. Good stuff, by the way. The talking heads talking about that.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
There's a lot of things that we didn't get to cover today that's in the paper pile, like this issue with L.A. needing to borrow millions of dollars in order to cover its growing lawsuit losses. They got to pay out a lot of money to bunches of people, and that now they're starting to need lots of money to do that. Tampa arrests volunteers who are feeding the poor on the street. Yeah, I know that's a continuing story down there because they don't have a permit to serve food. Feeding the homeless is now illegal in Tampa, Florida. Basically, these people are being arrested for passing out without a permit. You got to have a food truck or something permit in order to do that, and they say it's for safety. It's not for safety. I mean, you got private entities out there doing the things that government says that they're going to do, and they don't do. So somebody decides, well, we're going to do it for the government because the government's not doing it, and the government says, no, that's it. We're going to make that illegal, and if you do it, we're going to arrest you. And that's what's happening in Florida. As well as this something new is out. Well, it's not new, but it is new. Brave new world coming, folks. I warned you about this. The Pentagon tests a new drone swarm system. Yes, these micro drones. There was a micro drone test, and it was a resounding success. The sub-headlines all over the place are cloud of drones released during Pentagon test. Now, of course, they're saying that these things are going to be non-lethal, but you know, this stuff that's once it actually works, it's only going to be a matter of time. It sounds really cool. Yeah, you can unleash a million drones on an enemy and just overwhelm them. But there's also another problem. They don't seem to come up with a system to protect against the systems that they're making first, or at least at the same time. If you think that we're the only ones that are going to come up with mini drones and release swarms during a war, then you're wrong. Somebody else probably already has the information and all the hacking that's going on. China's probably already stolen a lot of the plans on it. And they're going to be building their own drone swarm pretty soon. Don't doubt me on that one, folks. Trust me. That is surely going to happen. And a concealed carry reciprocity bill was introduced in Congress earlier this week. Yes, in other words, basically what is happening is that they're talking about making it a law that if you get a concealed carry in your home state, it's good everywhere. All 50 states, kind of like your driver's license. None of this, which would eliminate people being arrested for legally carrying a firearm in their state, but crossing a border to a state that doesn't recognize it. And that happens a lot. And these people get charged with felonies, and then before you know it, then they get convicted and they lose their right to carry a gun or to own a gun. And that's wrong. Always has been wrong, always should be wrong. If your state basically says that you're safe enough and good enough to have a concealed carry, then that should be good enough for all 50 states. And I know not every state even has the need for or requirement for a concealed carry permit, which is also the proper thing. You shouldn't necessarily need one. I think everybody should get proper training on how to handle a firearm and how to use it properly and that kind of thing, yes. But this whole notion that you need this kind of thing, and if you're illegal in your state and all of a sudden you just cross the border and don't even think about it, next thing you know that you're not legal in that state. Well, that's wrong, because some of these states like Massachusetts are just overly ridiculous with their anti-constitutional gun limitations. But hey, you can't always get through all that stuff, especially when people are flying. How about this? We've heard of this story, people being diverted. They're carrying a weapon in their luggage, and they're being diverted to a state where they're now illegal, and they get arrested. When the state that they were going to, they were quite legal in doing what they were doing. But since they got diverted, now that's why they got to change this, folks. That's why they got to change it. Anyway, we're out of time for today, obviously. But 21 hours, we'll be back here for Wednesday's Hump Day edition. Until then, I'm Rod Eccles. Have a wonderful Tuesday afternoon. Stay warm. I'm out.
Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A shameless politician always plays her cards right. Got a crew for the fight on the airwaves. Lapdogs in the press keep their mouths tight. Cause a Clinton never needs to explain why it is what they done or with who. A real Clinton knows that they're entitled, and you don't get to know what they do.
What difference does it make?
For a Clinton, what's loaded in some fat Apple file? A Clinton plays the victim for promotion. A Clinton kills it off with a smile. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A server full of secrets ain't no thing. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Nothing ever hits with the sting.